Good evening, fellow Plexers. I've never made a Filebot versus Sonarr video today, and that's going to be part of what we talk about as I try to help Derrian from the Plexaholics Facebook group. Yesterday, he posted this. Is there an easy way to clean up my shows drive? I have over 11,000 episodes, and they literally all are just placed in the shows folder in their own episode folder, looking for an easy way to clean this up and put all the episodes together in a folder by show and season. And then he said, I am using the R's and I'm on Unraid. So that means he's got some sort of a trash guide set up. So further down, somebody suggested Sonarr for TV, Radar for movies, and he replied that he's already using Sonarr and Radar, but Sonarr is just throwing them in the shows folder single. I want them to go in a main folder for the series. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but it doesn't sound like he's got a proper show folder with a proper season folder and a proper episode name. So before we talk about the difference between Filebot and Sonarr, I just want to state that I think Sonarr is great to bring in media, especially with the trash guides set up, configured properly, using both news groups and indexers in an Unraid setup. It can't be beat. That's how I use it. But I would not consider renaming any series with Sonarr. Sonarr does a good job of creating the structure and everything when it brings a new series in, but Filebot's the solution to rename existing series. So let's talk about Filebot first, because I can guarantee that let's talk about Sonarr first. I can guarantee that Derrian's Sonarr is not set up as efficiently as it can be. So I'm just going to be using and demoing public domain media. This installation of Sonarr is really set up just to rename, not to acquire anything. It's running on my older Synology NAS. There are no other trash guide services running, and nothing's been configured to work with other trash guide services. Just an install of Sonarr in a Docker container with one path that points to my shared media folder. So Sonarr Media is the alias for my TV show library sort folder. So if we go to series, there's nothing there. So first off, Derrian, I want to show you, let's get rid of Filebot. I want to bring in my text editor because I'm going to suggest some changes. First of all, go to settings, and this will only take effect with any new series you add to Sonarr. It won't do a thing for your existing series. Later in the video, I'll help you solve that with Filebot, and then you remove and add the show to Sonarr again, and Sonarr will pick up the new folder structure that Filebot will give you, and then it'll go on bringing new episodes in. So first of all, you should check rename episodes and uncheck replace illegal characters. So if you don't check to rename episodes, you're not going to get everything. You're just going to get a series format folder, and this is pretty simple. So this may be part of the issue. Now, Sonarr, from my memory, has had different standard episode formats in the past, or at least it's changed since I first installed Sonarr. So this is what you get. And you also need to show advanced settings here like I've just done, because if not, the items in orange won't appear, and they're orange because it shows you the advanced format. So this is default, and this gives you the episode name. It's not bad. It's a series title, but there's no year. It's got the proper space dash space that Plex tells us to use as a separator, or Plex gives us that example over and over again. It doesn't actually say that. So that's again separating the season episode formatting with the proper episode name. And then it's missing a beat here. any extra information should be in brackets per Plex's naming guide for TV shows. And that's handled right in this, let's see, is it handled here? No, this paragraph here, optional info. It gives the example of putting 1080p Blu-ray into brackets, and it tells us any information in an episode file name in brackets is ignored by the scanner. Then we also have to consider that Sonarr pulls metadata and names to TVDB and not TMDB, which means if you're going to have episodes coming from Sonarr and add your own episodes manually, everything should be named to TVDB and not TMDB. And then you should go into your TV show library advanced settings. So I'm going to click into this library on the same NAS, public domain media, click the three dots, choose manage library, choose edit, go to advanced, and by default, when you set a TV show library up, the episode ordering is set for the movie database. You should start right at the beginning by pulling from the TVDB for episode ordering and then save changes. So if you've only brought media in from Sonarr and you've had media that you might have had to fix match because of some reason, it's probably because you're pulling episode ordering from the movie database and the listing at the TV database is slightly different, and just by doing that, that should fix the problems. If you bring media in from Sonarr and then manually bring media in and name it to TMDB, that's a tougher nut to crack. And you may have to look through things and rename them individually, or if a series isn't listed the same at TMDB as it is at TVDB, you may need to adjust things to get it into the TVDB format. But if you're starting fresh, make that change early. Name from TVDB manually, and then Sonarr will fit perfectly in with that TV show library. So, check this, uncheck that, and I'm going to suggest something different besides this. I'm going to suggest this, and this will name very similar to my custom Filebot expression that we'll get into later. So notice the estimated file name and how that'll change. Okay, so now you'll have the series title, you'll have the year properly, you'll have the official separator in both spots, the season episode formula, the proper episode name, and now more extra information, and it's all in brackets. So it'll tell you it's a web download, it'll tell you it's 1080p, it'll tell you the audio format is in AVC, and it'll tell you that it's DTS 5.1. My Filebot expression does the same exact thing, gives you the same information, just in a slightly different format. Everything else is the same. You don't have to worry about the daily episode or the anime episode unless you're going after soap operas, game shows for this. And then if you're doing the anime episode format, you really could just use this same thing again. Paste it in again. You'll have the same quality file names. Now this is absolute garbage because there's no year included. So we'll get the replacement. So look at the estimate, and now we'll pop this in, hit enter. Oh, sorry about that. I meant to do that here in the season folder. So see how it says season 1? I'll paste in the replacement, hit enter, and now it's season 01. Just like every Plex example there is. So now this is the folder title for the series. And there's no year and there's no TvdbId. So let's fix that because that's kind of like hot garbage too. So instead of the series title, we're going to do series title year plus the formula for the TVDB source ID. And I'll post these in the description of the video. And again, you don't even see this if you're not showing the advanced options. Hit enter. So now you have the example series title with a year with a TVDB source ID. This is a can't miss structure. But again, you have to go to the advanced settings of your library and change the advanced episode ordering away from the movie database and to the TV database and save the changes. And then older installs of Sonarr did not set prefix range as a default option for multi-episode style. So this is a brand new install of Sonarr and it has it right. And if you look, it gives you the example for multiple episodes in one file. Let's say there's 3 episodes. It's always a sequence. You don't list each episode individually. So it's S01 E01-E03 or maybe S01 E01, S01 E18-E20. This is wrong, this is wrong, they're all wrong except for this, for Plex. So that's it. You save the changes. And now any new series you bring in will have the new naming. But Sonarr won't rename existing series with this style. So if I go to series and I add a new series, and again, none of this is hooked up to anything, it won't work. But I can preview it. So this is coming out with a new season. If I click into it, you see how it's creating the series folder called Wednesday space in parentheses 2022 space curly brace TVDB dash 397060 end curly brace. That's a perfect folder name. So let's try to use this as a renamer. So library import. I'm going to start an import. And now, when you set this up in a Docker container, there's a couple paths. One of the paths is to your Plex library structure. And maybe let's switch to that now. This is my recommended setup for a trash guides install using Usenet. One shared media folder. It has to be one shared media folder to achieve those instantaneous atomic moves or instant moves that the trash guides warn you about wanting. So one shared media folder. And then because I think Sonarr and Radar should be set up to be able to pull from multiple movie libraries or multiple TV show libraries, you really should use a library sort folder for each Plex library type. Movie-libraries. It's not a library folder, it's a sort folder that holds library folders. So this enables Radar to pull most of your movies for this structure, and then they'll be named properly. So no uppercase letters, no spaces, all lowercase from the shared folder down through this level, and then things are named normally after this level. So 90% of your movies you can pull and choose this folder structure. Maybe you want some kids movies you want in a separate library. You can designate those movies to go into this structure. Maybe you collect documentaries. So maybe you've added a few documentaries for Radar to pull in. They can be directed here. Same with concerts. Maybe you have a stand-up library. A lot of stand-up shows are listed as movies at TVDB. So you're all set. The only thing you can't do is pull the same movie from multiple library folders. So if a new movie comes out and you want the 1080p copy and the 4K copy, you have to choose where it goes. Couple options. You could pull the 4K one and then manually use Handbrake to make a conversion to put here. Or you can do all this with the main instance of Radar and then figure out how to run a second instance of Radar just to supply this type of content. It's not as complicated with a TV show library in Sonarr. Chances are you're never going to want the same TV show in two different TV libraries, TV show libraries. So again, we have the sort folder for all the TV show libraries, and inside it there's a main, there's a kids, there's one for DVR if you're using a HD home run tuner or another supported tuner, and there's an anime folder structure. So again, these would be root folders in Sonarr, so you can direct the majority of your TV shows to this structure, some to here and some to here. And one instance of Radar can do it all. So there's not a lot of description of this even at the trash guides. The trash guides set structure up with one shared media folder, but there's no sort folders for movie libraries and no sort folder for TV show libraries. This is definitely a better path if you want to pull content from multiple libraries. So that's the structure that I think is pretty good. All right, so we're back to browsing for local media to rename with Sonarr. So I'll start the import, and this is the alias that leads to my TV library sort folder. So when I click into it, I see those folders I just described. So now I'm going to go into the main one where there's these three shows that have public domain episodes in them. This Life with Elizabeth is already renamed perfectly. Filebot did that. So first of all, I can't select multiple shows to rename with Sonarr like I could with Filebot. And I can't even go in and add from this level to pick one of them. I have to be in the main folder and then just select everything by clicking OK. So Sonarr will import these. So I don't want to do anything with Life with Elizabeth, so I'll uncheck it. I'll let it import the Beverly Hillbillies and the Lucy Show, but it's not going to rename them. I can import two series. So Sonarr simply kind of analyzed them and brought them in. So now if I go to the series option, I see these two shows. And it's trying to update them because they're new, but there's nothing to connect to look for more episodes. It's not how this is set up. This is set up strictly to rename. So if I click in here, I can see that I have 5 out of 30 shows. They're public domain ones and they're safe. So they're imported into Sonarr. Now if I go to my folder structure, so here's this Synology NAS, here's my, well, let me back up. Here's my shared folder. That Sonarr alias in the Docker container pointed to this sort folder for TV show libraries. And I pointed to this one on the import. So now inside here, I'll look at the Lucy Show. Nothing's been renamed. Well, it was, but it was by me in an earlier flub video. So nothing's renamed with the Beverly Hillbillies. So that's the one we're going to talk about. I had a phone call that ran long, and when I started the video back up when I first filmed it, OBS Studio is what I use. This had crashed. I didn't realize it when I started it up from pause, and I had to start the video over. So that's a little behind the curtain scene of sometimes the video goes wrong. So anyway, Beverly Hillbillies is not renamed. So let's go back to Sonarr and see if we can rename it. So let's just click onto this one. Let's go in here. So there's 36 episodes to complete the first season. They're all public domain. And I can rename them. I can click Preview Rename, and it's going to change it from this structure, Season 01, to this. So it will rename the Season 01 folder. Let me show you that a different way. Let's go back in and let's rename this Season 1. Right, right, so now we'll go back into Sonarr, and I'm going to have Sonarr refresh the scan on that. It's just going to read everything again. And you may see a little action here, or it may already have happened. So now when we go into preview and rename, nope, it hasn't finished scanning yet. Finished down here, but it's not finished up here. And again, this delay, I'm going to skip ahead while we're waiting. So if I in turn open this up in Filebot, open with Filebot, I'm just going to use my default expression before I explain it. Click into it. Watch how fast this starts getting things ready to be renamed. 36 episodes, just like that. You could do 10 seasons of 36 episodes, just like that. All right, let's go back to Sonarr. Okay, so it's done circling. Now let's preview the rename. Now you see how the original season folder is named Season 1, and now it's going to be named Season 01 because of the adjustments I made to the media management page. But it's not going to rename the season folder. So let me organize this. Right here it's renaming everything. Is it done? Is it not done? So now it's renamed. So now if I go back into the structure, let me refresh this because it's on network storage. Season folder's renamed. The episodes are renamed Sonarr style to the changes we made to the media management section, but it didn't rename the series name. So how do you do that in Sonarr? I'm not sure, but it all seems like a lot of work, right? Let's go back to series. Let's click into this. If we edit it, we could manually add the name here, or I could manually change it in my folder structure and then point it to this. So if you have an existing series, I suggest renaming it in Filebot and then fixing it in Sonarr if there's still new episodes to come out. If there are no new episodes to come out and the series is complete, some people suggest leaving it in Sonarr because Sonarr will be your history of what you need to reacquire if you lose all your media on a failed drive. Well, I think you should be using RAID, and the larger your system is, maybe you should be using RAID 6 or Synology Hybrid RAID 2 to have 2-drive redundancy, or if you're using unRAID like Derrian is, have 2 parity drives and plug your NAS into a UPS so there's no sudden power loss. That's a lot better than having 400 series in Sonarr when maybe only 70 of them are going to have new episodes. I'm very opinionated on this. It's just people do things different ways and they do them for reasons, but I just think redundancy is the best thing instead of having a million shows in Sonarr. So let's show you how to fix this up in the way I think might be useful for Derrian, and then afterwards I'll explain my custom expressions in Filebot and some options in Filebot. So I'm just going to rename everything, all 3 series. I'm going to open them with Filebot. If I click down here, I'll see my custom expressions. I'm going to pick this one. It's got a number 2 to keep at the top. Now they're not full TV shows, they're just the public domain episodes, but you see how fast that went. The green dot means Filebot's not going to change the name. It's the same as what Filebot would do. And my expressions rename in place. you can see that it's going to be in the same network share. The media shared folder, the TV-library sort folder, the library folder of TV-main, and it's just going to rename the folder, the season name, and the episode. So let me click rename. 49 files renamed like that, and if I wasn't explaining this to you, it maybe would have been 15-20 seconds to rename that many files. Alright, so let me refresh this network view, go into TV main. Now you see each show has a TVDB source ID, and if we jump into Beverly Hillbillies, it's season 01, and this is the full file name, completely Plex compliant. The series name of the year, the season episode coding, the proper episode name, and then in brackets so that the extra media characteristics aren't part of the scanning process. 360p, it's a DIVX embedded file, 2-channel audio encoded with MP3. So let's look at another one. The Lucy Show. This is 480p encoded with MPEG-4, 2-channel AAC for the audio codec. And if we go to the Life with Elizabeth, it is 480p again. It's H.264 encoded, 1-channel AAC audio. Very descriptive. Everything's perfect. Everything will scan. So let's go into Plex for a second. So I'm going to, well, this server is scanning automatically. I've got multiple test servers going. So it already picked up the changes, and now it's detecting intros and end credits for these episodes. And this library is set for TVDB. So it's just, everything's perfect. So now we have to fix Sonarr up because we've renamed these series. So I think this is the easiest way to do it. Copy the show name, hit Control-C, delete it, get rid of it, add it back, search for it, click into it, and now because my Filebot expression very quickly renamed everything and it used the TVDB source ID, the new structure we set up for naming in Sonarr is a complete match. So now if I add the show and I go back into it, Sonarr is just going to scan it and it'll find those 5 episodes I already have, and if it's set up normally, it'll start looking for any new episodes that you haven't acquired yet. So the best way, I think, is just rename it with Filebot, remove the show and re-add it with Sonarr, and you're back in business in just a few steps. Doing that with Filebot and this with Sonarr, it's very quick. And if you have, I forgot what he said, 11,000 episodes, that might be 300 TV shows. Geez, you on a Saturday or Sunday, you take 10 minutes and you do 15 shows, and then you do it again on a Sunday, that's 30 shows. Just doing it that slow clip, 10 weeks you're done. But if you do 10, 15 shows every day and spend 5 minutes on it, you'll have your whole library set up properly. And because Sonarr is now set up correctly, you've got great structure when it brings a new show in. So we have to remember that Sonarr isn't a Plex service. It's not a Plex helper app all by itself. It also brings in media for MB or Jellyfin. And if I go to MB, TV show, too many S's, naming guide, right here. Oh, no, that's a forum post. Where is it? All right, I'm clicking the same wrong thing twice. Well, I'm not seeing what I want. Let's change that to convention. There it is. That's the document I want. So it's very similar structure to Plex. Glee is the show name, space, the year in parentheses. MB's season 1 is fine, which is how Sonarr was set up by default. There's no space dash space here. Plex always gives that an example in every naming, every example of naming of a TV show. Now, Plex only uses the TMDB and TVDB source ID for a TV show, and for a movie, IMDb and TMDB. I just use TMDB exclusively for movies. But you've got all these options. Plex only uses curly braces for TVDB and TMDB. MB uses curly braces, brackets, probably even parentheses, but I don't see it. So it can be TVDB dash the database number, just like Plex. It can also be TvdbId. Plex doesn't use that. So Sonarr and Radar are not made exclusively for Plex, so don't assume that any of the default settings are what's best for Plex. The default settings might be just perfect for MB, but you should still have a source ID, you should still have a year for a series in the series folder and the episode name. So that's the end of my Sonarr setup and how to get it going and how to fix things. Let's get into Filebot. And before we do, let's just go in here for a second. So there's a lot of rules that Plex has, and I think you're just better off following the rules. And sometimes they just say something over and over, and you just take it as a rule. Plex never says anything about this official separator, but I call it an official separator because you see it in every naming guide for anything to do with a TV show. You just see it over and over and over again. Now, I've learned that you can replace this official separator with a plain period, but you can't replace natural spaces with a period or an underscore. Only the separator. So this could be Grey's Anatomy 2005 dot S01 E01 dot PT1. That's legal. If you want to set Filebot up to name like that, that's fine. I think you can even get Sonarr to set up like that if you want, because you could change this to a dot, and that would be legal. I don't like it, but that would be legal. I like that better. So, into Filebot. There's some things to know about Filebot, and I'll post my custom expressions for Filebot in the description, just like I'll use my put my custom expressions for Sonarr into. So let's get Filebot back open. If you're using network storage, Filebot can be dangerous. Actually, let me load all three of these series back into Filebot again. And I'm running Ubuntu 24.4 for this video. I'm not a Windows guy. So Filebot has default expressions. If you just install it, click here for presets. You've got your default expressions. I can't see them because I've added my own expressions. So if I hold down the Shift key, you will see these four: organize movies for Plex, organize episodes for Plex, match by episode title, match by absolute number. I'm going to pick organize episodes for Plex, and I'll show you why this is dangerous to use with network storage, but great if you're using local storage. But this names to TMDB, so if you're running Sonarr, you don't want series named to TMDB because you're going to change your advanced episode ordering of the Plex TV show library to TVDB. That's a bummer, but also this creates structure. It's going to create a media folder, capital MEDIA. It's going to create a TV show folder as a library folder. Then it will create all the proper structure for the episodes and the file names, or for the show folder and the file names, while adding the TMDB source ID to the folder, but not the file name. That's great if you want to use TMDB and not Sonarr locally, but if I try to do this on this network share with the Synology NAS, I'll click rename, it'll tell me it went well, but then it'll be missing from my storage. So this is really only for local, but if you're going to use Filebot in conjunction with Sonarr, you can't do anything with the TMDB source ID or naming from that. Let me open these up again. Another way to use Filebot, opened up in a new window, picking the wrong choice. Open with Filebot. Another way to use Filebot is simply clicking the match button, going down to fetch and match data, episode mode, can either be the movie database or the TV database, which is what we'll pick. Now this does not create a season folder, it does not create the show folder, but it'll give you a simple episode file name, but you notice, Life Without Elizabeth. There's no year here, but it is a compliant file name. So you could manually create the show folder, Life with Elizabeth with a year, and manually create the season 01 folder, then have Filebot rename everything in it, but then you'd have to sort all the season 1 episodes from season 2 episodes manually into their season folders. Sometimes with a new Filebot install, this will come out with S01 E E00. Just click on the first one or any of them, or right click and choose the TVDB. No, I'm sorry, there's another way to do it. Oh, go down and choose edit format when you right click. And you just have to find this and click on that once and use format, and anytime in the future it'll load up just like this. You won't see that SX E01 or E04 or whatever it is. So my expression just does it all. And I've adapted multiple expressions. If I wanted to rename in place and I wanted to use TMDB, I've got a TMDB structure and a TMDB rename only. So if I do the structure, it's going to do what Filebot's expression does, but it's going to do it what's this? It's not finding the right series for the Beverly Hillbillies. Looks like it's looking for movies. I probably clicked the wrong expression. I did. I picked a movie expression. I want the TV series, TMDB structure, TMDB source with TMD source ID and folder only. So there, it goes down and names everything, renames everything. It names in place in my same shared media folder, the TV-library sort folder, and the TV-main library folder. The new show folder name is Life with Elizabeth 1953 with a TMDB source ID in season 01. And then the episode names are pretty standard. So here's my expression I use all the time, and it's not going to rename them because they're already named properly. Let's show you how to add that expression. I'll just close Filebot down again. So this will be in the description. This is a TVDB aired, or it could be a DVD ordering. I'll show you how to swap between them. So you'd basically add it twice, name one whatever you want, and name the other one a little bit different with a DVD TVDB ordering. This expression will give you everything I've got, but named a TMDB. So let's start with this one. This gives the, what does that give? That gives the, I think that gives the year and the show, and this gives the TMDB source ID. This creates the season structure. This gives the year and the episode formatting in the file name. Space dash space. T is for the proper episode name, and I've got some other instructions in brackets. So it'll show in brackets video format, video codec, audio format, audio codec. The Filebot developer helped me with this expression, and this looks inside the container file for embedded subtitles. And if it sees any English subtitles, there could be others, it'll display this at the end of the file name, ENGSUB, and because it's in brackets, Plex ignores it. If there's embedded subtitles that are not flagged with a language, it will display UNDSUBs for undescribed subtitle. And that lets me know just by renaming and looking at the files that I might need to do some manual work with MKV toolnix if those subtitles are indeed English, to flag them with the English language to then run them through Filebot again. And last but not least, this is extra. You don't need to have it in there. But if you're renaming a series that has 2 or 3 files to make up one episode or even one movie, this could be added to a movie expression. As long as you name the parts -pt 1 and 3. Let me show you how. So let's do movie 2025, and let's add that twice. So if you do this -pt1 and -pt2, that's one of a few different things that Plex recognizes. It could be part 1 and part 2. It could be DVD 1 and 2. It could be CD 1 and 2. And there's a couple others. This will tell Plex that these are different parts of the same movie or episode, and it'll scan them both in so there's only one entry in Plex even though you have multiple parts. Well, this part can handle that in Filebot so these get renamed properly. Without that, it'll try to rename both parts as the same movie or the same episode and then throw an error and ask you to pick which one is the right one. So if you prefer this, or if you prefer this, well, you just change the PT in the expression to match. And it will handle up to 9 parts. You can join them with MKV toolnix. That might be a better option. But that's what this is. So
motion detected.
You can leave this out. And this handles external subtitles, which I need to explain. So if you have subtitles named like this, 01-SRT, 02-SRT, and sometimes you'll see 3 or even more, 03-SRT. If you sort them by size and you have 3 of them that you suspect are English subtitles, the one that's tiny is going to be the forced subtitle with a foreign language part because there's not that many parts to this. And it's just a text file. You can open it up and view it if you associate it with a text editor. The largest one is going to be the hearing impaired one. And that's 03, not 03. The one that's slightly smaller will be the default subtitle. And sometimes people place ads in subtitle. They're just text files associated with the text editor. Quickly open it, remove the ad, save it, and you're all set. Well, if you change these names to this, to prep it, this part of the expression, whether it's for a movie or a TV show, will pick that up and it'll carry these forward in the new file name. And it'll change this to all caps SDH, and it'll change forced to capitalized. And then Plex will scan these in as the proper external subtitles. So you do have to do a little bit of prep, but I don't think there's any other way around it easily. So if you wanted to use this one, because TVDB usually doesn't have a series year in the official title like TMDB does, for the few series that do have an official year, this n.replaceTrailingBrackets handles that situation and removes the extra year. So that's why you see it in creating the folder, show folder name, and why you see it in creating the first part of the episode name. Now this creates the season, and if you have specials, even if they're in a folder called specials, running them through Filebot will change the specials folder to season 00. And I'm fine with that. In Plex's support article, specials for a TV show can be in a season called specials or season space 00. So let's do this TVDB aired, and we'll do it twice. We'll do it for aired ordering and DVD ordering. So let me get Filebot open. So I'm going to click the expressions, click edit preset at the bottom, then at the bottom again, new preset, and let's call everything we're doing today test TVDB aired full. I'm going to click OK. I can paste my expression in. The data source must be the movie database TV if you're pulling source order from the movie database. We're not. We're going to change it to the TVDB. Okay, so then episode ordering is set to air date. If you wanted to add this again and call it TVDB DVD full, just change this to DVD. And now if the series has a DVD ordered listing, like if you rip a series from Blu-ray or DVD, it's definitely in DVD ordering. You can create a custom expression to help you with this. So we're going to stay with air date, and we're just going to save the preset. So let's do one more. Let's go back to my cheat sheet, and let's do the one for TMDB in case you want to rename for that for a library that's not being used with Sonarr. So I'm going to go down, edit preset, new preset. I'll name it TMDB aired full. Now, TMDB is always in aired ordering. There's not an alternate ordering for that database. TVDB, some shows, well, you have some shows that have 3 orderings: aired, DVD, and sometimes there's an absolute. And I'm not into anime, but supposedly that absolute ordering helps out with some anime shows, and you can set the ordering to the show level. So at the show level, you can edit it and pick TMDB, always aired, TVDB aired, TVDB DVD, or TVDB absolute. So even this might help you rename anime if you want to go for the absolute ordering. So I'm going to paste in this other expression, and now the data source is going to stay the movie database TV. And again, it's always air date. So now I'll save the expression. So now we have 2 test expressions. We added oh, I must have renamed one funny. Here's test TVDB, and oh, TMDB aired. Let me see if I can edit that. I don't think I can edit the name. I can't. So my mistake. I should have called that test, but luckily they're on the same line with each other. So let me go into the TV Kids library with some public. No, that's the wrong spot. Where am I? I'm on the wrong NAS. I want to go back to the same test server, into my shared media folder, into the sort folder for TV show libraries. And now I want to show you Looney Tunes. This is a virtual series that only exists at TVDB because it's made up of old movie shorts that TVDB kindly let be organized as a virtual TV series. The old Tom and Jerry movie shorts are the same way. There's a Ken Burns Films entry at TVDB that comprises all of his documentary series. You could add them all to Plex, named for TVDB or TMDB as individual series, but the one virtual entry lets you add them under one series, which it's all kind of neat. All right, so let's back up. Oh, too far. I'm going to open this up in Filebot. I'll then show you the custom TMDB expression. And we're going to hit a brick wall because this virtual series is not listed at the movie database. So it's asking us which one is it, and you won't see the Looney Tunes from 1929. So I'm going to just stop it with the X and change to the other test expression, TVDbId. Now, if we hover the mouse over this option, first IRD says 1929. That's the one I want. So now I'll hit select. And the thing to check is the episode names. Just spot check some. Dumb Patrol. That's the episode name. Bosco the Doughboy. That's a match. Hold Anything. That's a match. And if anything's in red, you know it's not correct. So this is going to create structure, but it's already in good structure. So let's check that. It's in Looney Tunes 1929, but it doesn't have the TVDB source ID. Season folders are good, and this is how it's listed at TVDB. Instead of season 01 and 02, it's listed by year. The first season is season 1929 with one episode, and then all the way to like 2014. And these are named simply 2. So let's back up a little bit. Rename these with our test expression. Now, it's fast. It's super fast. Now we'll go back in and look. It's got the TVDB source ID in the series. Season folders stayed the same, but if they weren't there, it would have created them. So if all the episodes for this were named correctly enough, it would have found them and put them in the right season folders. And this is smart enough. You can do this. Let's do this to episode 1 and 2 and rename this again. Especially the cartoons. A lot of cartoons, especially older ones, have a title card. Within the first 15 to 30 seconds, it'll tell you which episode it is. So all you have to do is name it by the episode. Let's do 3 of them. The first 3 episodes. This can really speed up when you rip cartoons yourself, because you're never sure the order they're coming off, and you can just open them up and go from there. So we've got 3 named that way. Let's back up. Oh, let's do it at the show level. Open with, Filebot, open. So here's 1, 2, where is the other one? Oh, they're both here, 1, 2, and 3. Let's pick that expression we just made, test TVDbId. Everything's going to stay the same except for the 3. So if we look at this one, Ain't Nature Grand, it knew where to put it. It's going to be in the right folder. It's going to have the right episode name and have the right season episode coding assigned to it while getting the proper show name. Sonarr can't touch what Filebot can do. And Filebot with my custom expressions are better than Filebot by default, especially if you're using media on a shared NAS drive like Derrian is doing with Unraid. So that's my pitch. I love Sonarr, but not as a file renamer. I've never used Tiny Media Manager. Maybe one day I'll check that out and do a comparison with Filebot 2. But Filebot is $6 a year in the US, and it's the best deal you could get for an accessory Plex program. And that's my pitch, Derrian. That's how you fix your current Sonarr. get it to rename future series perfectly, change your episode ordering for the whole TV show library to TVDB, rename a show manually with Filebot, maybe rename 3 or 4 at a time so you can scroll down, make sure everything's going right, and you spot check the episode names on each side of Filebot. Rename them, then go back into Sonarr, pull them out, put them back in, and it'll use the new structure just the same as Filebot's using. Again, this is something, if you've got, I don't know, 300 TV shows with 11,000 episodes, 10 a day, doesn't take that long. 15 minutes, go do something else. Next day, 10 a day, it'll just go fast. So, I appreciate your viewership. This is kind of long, but I think it was pretty cool to pull Sonarr up in a way that I don't have to worry about it because we're just renaming public domain media. Happy plexing, and thanks for watching.